You spoke with the experts. What was their take?
They were totally flabbergasted by it, Natasha. What they couldn't explain was how an object like that had no visible means of propulsion. As Peter Reale explained in that interview, there is an issue with the fact that on a thermal signature, such as the camera is displaying there, you should see a hot point for an exhaust, maybe a rocket motor or a propeller. There's no evidence of any kind of heat source. And this is part of a broader phenomenon that's being seen not just in Arizona, but right across this area of New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona. I'm getting a lot of people contacting me about this particular type of object, this cigar-shaped object. Some people describe it as the Tic Tac, a slightly stubby cigar-shaped object. There are a lot of people telling me they're seeing this shape and image, and it doesn't display the kind of propulsion system or the kind of thermal signature that you'd expect to see. One of the things that's really fascinating now, Natasha, and the reason why this is becoming more of an issue, I suspect these objects have been around for a very long time, but what's happening is the ease with which we can now procure technology such as infrared cameras in our phones, which allow us to capture these images in ways that we couldn't even 5 or 10 years ago. And so a lot of people have been contacting me. I get literally thousands of these a week from people telling me that they're seeing strange objects, be they the cigar. I haven't had anybody send me a rubber duck, but they've sent me plenty of images of anomalous objects, including, by the way, the jellyfish. And I can't explain it, but what is not explainable is good scientists like the Scientific Coalition for the Studies of UAPs in Huntsville have had a look at these videos, and they just haven't been able to provide an explanation for them. They are truly anomalous. And at what point do we acknowledge as a country that this is an issue? This is an issue of national security. We have objects breaching our airspace which are seriously inexplicable, even to known conventional science. This should be a national security and flight safety issue. What do the agencies do? They bury their head in the sands.
Yeah, speaking of the jellyfish, a UAP you just brought up, a NewsNation viewer has a question for you specifically about that. We will ask you closer to the end of the show. You had a firsthand experience seeing potential UAP drone sightings through night vision goggles with a UFO tour guide. Can you tell me more about that? Did you see anything, and what were your takeaways from that experience?
Okay, so Melinda Leslie operates a UAP spotting business in Sedona, Arizona. And I've been hearing about Melinda's work for quite some time, and she's got superb third-generation night vision goggles, top-of-the-line $10,000 night vision goggles. And these allow you to see amplified light. And we've been hearing from witnesses who've actually been stopped by men with guns, with uniforms on, in parts of the remote Bureau of Land Management land, in and around the coyly named Secret Mountain, just a few kilometres from Sedona. We've been told by many locals that there are weird things that have been going on in that area. People have been stopped by men with guns in an area that's not known or acknowledged to be a military site, and they've been told to get the heck out of there as fast as possible. In one case, one of the witnesses described seeing a vehicle that had stopped him going down a ramp that had opened hydraulically in a hillside and concealing to be essentially looking like just a simple wall of normal rock. There's something going on. There are a lot of people who believe there is an incredible as this may sound, an underground facility located near Sedona. It's an allegation that's been around for quite a few years, and we spent a lot of time investigating it. And I do think it has validity. I've actually spoken to people who claim to have been inside this facility. And so what Melinda's night vision goggles captured were, and I saw it for myself, an orb-shaped object, gigantic golden orb-shaped object coming up from behind Secret Mountain near Sedona, pulsing, almost pulsing like a plasmatic glow. And then it lifted slowly and then took off.
Ross, you saw this? You saw this?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.